Good morning. It's Sunday, May 17th, and the search for rants is a never-ending search. And the pandemic has led me to places that I wouldn't normally look for. It's a place that I wouldn't normally rant about. But anyhow, I came across this article that deals with college entrance exams, the SATs and the ACTs. In California, the state of California has abandoned them for this year, obviously because of the pandemic, and they are probably going to ban them going forward, although that's still up in the air. But it's very interesting, the positions that people are taking on these entrance exams. When I had a chance to go to City College, I could have gotten in on my grades. But since I didn't go right from graduation to college, I waited a couple of years. By the time I had to get into college, I had to take the entrance exam. And that was the City College entrance exam. It wasn't SAT or an ACT or anything like that. That was City College's entrance exam. It wasn't a standardized test by any means. Anyhow, the ACT and the SATs are standardized tests, and it takes them years to create for some reason. And then they're used by most of the universities and colleges in the country. Plus, standardized tests have long been accused of favoring the wealthy and the privileged. And you can understand why when you take a look at the industry that has grown up around these exams. And that's the college preparatory industry, for lack of a better term. So now the cost of a college prep for the ACT or the SAT exams is roughly between $30 and $50 an hour. And I don't know how many hours that turns out to be. Some kids might need 10 hours. Some kids might need only 5 hours. Whatever it is, it's a cost. And it also, therefore, it puts children in the lower income levels at a distinct disadvantage when applying to colleges. Unless, of course, these kids are brilliant and they get into some scholarship arrangement or something. But meanwhile, the system is kind of rigged, like most systems are, for the people who are a little more affluent. Then there's the argument about whether or not these SATs and ACT exams are really effective in producing great college students, for lack of a better term. Because there's many cases when you can do poorly on those exams and do very well in college, and in other cases you can do very well on those exams and then do poorly in college. So the exam is not necessarily a real indicator of how well you're going to do in school. So there's a big hullabaloo right now about whether we should continue giving these examinations or whether we should abandon them for some other methodology. Universities have known for years that these exams give very little information on how successful a student will be. What they do is they boil down a student to a number. I can assure that my kids and your kids are more than a number. How they do on a given test that day will not really define how well they'll do in school. Additionally, these tests generate a lot of money. Not really sure how that helps the students. And there's a whole cost structure for taking the exam. It's like $47.50 to take the SAT, $64.50 if it comes with the essay portion, $22 for each of the SAT subject tests, not including the $26 registration fee. And the ACT costs $50 and change, $67 with the writing portion, right? Advanced placement tests cost $94. So in addition to prep, you got to pay to take the exam. Now, I got to admit that there are exceptions, and they do make exceptions for students who can't afford these prices, and they will let them take the exams under some act or other, but they have to apply for that as, I guess it's like food stamps, I guess, you apply for it and you get it and you go and take the exam for less money. But the whole thing real boils down to, are these exams really indicative of how well a person's going to do at school? And why did it have to have a standardized test? Why doesn't each university have their own test? Like the good old days, like when I went to City College, and many of you went to City College, had an exam. City College had an exam. Or we had a set of rules where you could get into school without taking any exams. You're a good student in high school. Why should you have to take an exam? I graduate with a 4.0 average. Why do I have to take an exam? Seems to me the exam is just a money-making enterprise for some people. Doesn't really indicate how well a person's going to do, especially when you figure out that probably 75% of the students that go to college, when they start out, they're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief. By the time they graduate from college, they're a gym teacher, or they're an interpreter, or they majored in Japanese, or something else, people change their mind. People don't always end up getting where they started from. And it happens in the workplace, too. You can start out at one thing and end up being something else by the time your career is over. So I don't think these exams are really worth doing. And that's the way I feel about it right now.